Hello and welcome to Competitive Paupercast, episode 21. With me today, as always, is David.
Hey guys.
And we have a newcomer to the show. His name is Mike. How you doing, Mike?
Good, what's up?
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I go by the name BobbySapphire on Magic Online and Twitter. I've been playing Magic for a few years. Came over from the Star Wars card game that was made by Decipher and now defunct. Had some accomplishments there, so switched to Magic, and I've been grinding PTQs and Grand Prix for about 4 years now.
Wow.
With little success in the win category.
How many top 8s you done?
Total, I think around 10. I had 5 in 2013 in the PTQs. So I have a lot of cool top 8 playmats, but no glory. And I've been to a few GPs. I didn't think I could draw into cash in Charlotte, which was at the time the biggest one. So I played and lost, and I got 68th. And then I went to Vegas for the Modern Masters one, and I won the foil Tarmogoyf lottery and dropped. And I went and gambled in Vegas instead of grinding 100 rounds of Modern Masters.
Yeah, that's legit.
Yeah, I sold it for $350. It was pretty nice, or somewhere above $350. I don't remember.
That's
I saw
a lot of
people
gambling.
Yeah, people in line were like, "Oh man, I ripped $40 worth of cards. I gotta do it." It's like, okay, man. It was the last card I looked at too. I was thinking about, I was just registering everything, and the very last card in the stack was the foil Goyf, and I had to think about whether or not I wanted to drop for 20 minutes. I was tweeting, asking people for advice, and eventually I dropped.
That's pretty cool. So you play a lot of PTQs and Grand Prix. So what brought you into Pauper then?
I was just looking for another format to grind on Magic Online, get those QPs. I really have focused on block for my secondary format, but I really just do not like this block format. I hate Momir, so I won't do that. And just don't really like Modern that much either. So I said, I'll try Pauper. I have all 12 Tron lands. I can do this.
Yeah, I can get behind you on the block format. I'm one of the more successful block players here in this block, and I can't stand the format anymore. It's just it's all
seems
mirrors.
awful.
It's all Naya now, and I don't think too much changes with Born of the Gods. We get a little bit more removal in black, but
yeah, it's not helping against the big monsters though.
Yeah, the big monsters deck has so many threats and planeswalkers that you're just like, how do you beat that?
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about your moniker, BobbySapphire? How did you come up?
Well, my name's Mike Gemme, and these kids in college, I was dating one of their friends, and they didn't like me infiltrating their group, so to kind of refuse to say my name, they would call me BobbySapphire, which is a take on Mike Gemme, because it's, the simplest name and the name of a jewel. And I flipped it on him, and I said, that's actually a sick name, and I've been using it for, like 12 years now.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, screw those guys.
I thought that was a funny story. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get over to what have you been playing this week, David?
So I last weekend got to play a lot of Azorius Kitty. This weekend, unfortunately, I've been too busy and won't be able to play any Premier events. But the decks the Azorius Kitty tournaments I did, I think I top 8'd one, promptly lost. And then another one I split actually with Mike here. He was nice enough to offer a split, even though I really just had to go. And so I top 16 that one. And he went on to win the top 8. And then the last one I 4-2'd, but failed to place in the top 16 because of breakers, which is pretty crazy because I 3-3'd an earlier one and ended up in the top 16 before. So I guess it's sort of a trade-off there, but it goes to show that premier events can vary very wildly in attendance, and that's something to pay attention to, I guess, in terms of what type of record you need to have. Because if I would have been aware of that situation earlier, I probably would have dropped. Not that I disliked playing or anything like that, but I had other stuff I could have done too, So. But yeah, in that one I lost to an aqueous form on a Ninja of the Deep Hours, which is something I had never seen before, and caught me by surprise. So that was, I probably could have actually, if I would have made a choice earlier, that would never have beaten me. But seeing as how I've never seen that before, I didn't even consider that as a possible way to lose the game.
And there's some sick technology.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. I don't know who else he uses it against, but the way I handle ninjas with my deck often is, they hit me with it once via fairy, but then I have Dreamstalkers and Seagate Oracles to just sit there and block. And so I had a play where I could pick a Delver, a Ninja of the Deep Hours, or a Phantasmal Bear with a Journey to Nowhere that resolved. And one of those, the Delver wasn't flipped, and I had a Horse Sky Fisher, so even if it did flip, I could trade. And so I was like, really, this is between the bear and the ninja, but I'll take out the bear so then later I can bounce the journey and get additional value. And then the next turn, he just aqueous forms me and just pummels me with this thing, this scrying ninja. And then the next round, I lost to Slivers, which, as we've talked about a million times, like, they'll mold the 2 and still have 4 lords off the top.
Yeah,
so that's basically what happened. I don't even think I played the last game. I was just like, whatever. You win by deck
You were
choice.
crushed.
Yeah. But yeah, those are sort of my stories on what I've been playing. Also, a lot of Cube lately.
Yeah, you're a big fan of the Cube, right?
Not this rendition of it. It's been really frustrating for me because I keep forgetting the cards that are in this version. So I'm like, all right, all I need is this other card to wheel, and it's like, that's not even in the cube anymore. So never be able to get that.
Yeah, that Black Lotus is not going to wheel in this cube.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of really bad cards in this cube. Like,
It's a pretty mopey cube, yeah.
I'm not really sure what the deal is. Why they made it so awful.
I did the cube sealed mocks, and I lost in the last round to get the 5-1. I didn't get it. I bricked. And it was just, I played this underwhelming green-white and crushed most decks, but I lost to, Jace the Mind Sculptor, Elspeth Knight Errant on the table. It's, an old favorite, those two guys tag teaming me.
Yeah, that happens. Hey, so speaking of which, big shout out to CJ Lack, who won the mocks.
Yeah, he's a guest we've had on a couple occasions.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, I've never met him. He's from my area. I guess based on Twitter, he says he's from Acton, Mass, which is about 20 minutes down the road. It's actually the town I'm getting married in June. So I didn't know he was a local guy, but I've seen him on Moto quite a bit. But yeah, it's great he won that thing.
Yeah, I think it's actually his second time for making it to the finals, so, of a mocks.
Yeah, so hopefully he does well. Yeah, he's a funny guy.
Yeah, he's...
And definitely the most famous person we've had on the show.
Yeah.
Glory.
Oh, man. So that's good stuff. Mike, what have you been playing this week?
I've been playing Tron. It's pretty much what I play. I haven't messed around with too many decks, but I do like the Tron. I top-8'd the one, like David said, we split in the last round, and promptly got booted out in the top 8 with no QPs. The guy who handed me my Swiss loss ended up winning the thing. He was playing the blue-red Delver hate deck, which I thought was a pretty good deck. He completely shut me down with all the land destruction in his sideboard. And then Friday, I came in 9th in the premier event, and that's the one that you top-8'd, Chris.
Yeah, I top-8'd and then probably lost in the
Yeah.
in the top
The way
8.
it goes.
Yeah, it's funny too because I beat my top 8 loss was delivered by some old guy who I just completely crushed in the Swiss. Like I 2-0'd him in the Swiss.
Oh, that's just the worst.
And it wasn't,
And then he avenged it.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. And then like in the top 8, he 2-0'd me and it wasn't even close.
What was he playing?
It was playing Teachings.
Oh, right.
Yep,
what did you play, or what did you end up in the Swiss?
I ended up 5-1. I 5-0'd and then I just conceded round 6.
So miserable. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. It happens. Like my round 6 opponent was on Tron too, so I probably would have crushed him.
That's blasphemy.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you feel about your Delver matchup, Mike?
I think it's pretty fair. I don't get crushed every time by it. The reason why I lost to that guy playing blue red, the Delver, and I didn't know exactly what he was, is the accumulated knowledge. Like every other time, I'm usually able to wear out your counter spells. You just can't counter everything, and I can play more Haunted Fengraphs to get my guys back if you're going to be a real problem. And I'm able to wrath your board with Thunder, especially when I have all the mana to draw out a counter spell, make you tap some mana, and then you can't do it on my second spell of the turn. And I draw just as many cards as you for the most part, and I've got Firebolt, which just eats a lot of your dudes.
All right, it's cool. It's like so you're the first actual Tron player we've had on the show. So,
well, what do you look at it as from your point of view, as like the Delver free win deck? What are you trying to do against the Tron?
I say my point of view from against Tron is, as long as I can keep Vanguard Marauder off the table, I'm pretty much good. It's pretty hard for you to win if I can keep Vanguard Marauder off the table, because you're gonna mess around a lot setting up your mana and stuff like that, and maybe you might be able to sneak a Muldrifter in, but I can still pretty well out tempo you, because you're gonna take so much damage in the early game trying to set up your mana that I can pretty much get you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, you're obviously gonna occasionally deliver me losses with nut draw with Tron. Turn 3 Tron plus turn 4 double Muldrifter type thing shenanigans going on.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I feel pretty good.
All right. Well, we'll have to battle it out sometime. Settle this like men.
I think I've beaten you before in the Swiss. I can't remember though.
Yeah. Well, I've been playing about a month, so I'm gonna demand the rematch at some point.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. That's pretty cool. So brings us to me. I've been playing Delver. Obviously, talked about my top 8 yesterday. Friday was my top 8. The premiere events didn't fire at all yesterday because of probably because of the mocks and the pre-releases, is what I'm assuming. A lot of Pauper regulars were in the mocks, and the other half of your Pauper regulars were probably at Born of the Gods pre-release. Which, did either of you play that pre-release?
No, I have. The set looks miserable, and I have no desire to go. And the one that was by my house is only two-headed giant, and I didn't have anyone to play with.
Yeah, I didn't play in it either. I had this class yesterday that was from 8 in the morning to 6:30 at night, so it's kind of booked solid.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Sounds awful.
My whole family is sick, so I didn't play yesterday. I was actually going to play, and I had made a deal with the local shop owner that I would give him a Mind Seize deck, and that would pay for my entry for the premiere event, or for the pre-release. Because Mind Seize decks are the commander decks are $55 or whatever on eBay.
Oh, I see. I didn't know what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah. The Mind Seize commander deck is the one with the Tree Name Nemesis in it, and
sweet.
You can buy them off the Target shelves or whatever for $30. But I bought one a while back because I was like, that's just free money. At some point, I can just eBay it, and I was like, maybe I'll just sell this to a shop owner for my pre-release entry, and he was like, yeah, sure, I can sell that thing for $60, no problem.
Is that what they're at right now? Is they're already at 60?
eBay, if you go to eBay, you can buy it now for $55.
Yeah. Target is the best place to get sealed product and flip it.
Yeah, just nobody goes to Target thinking they could buy this type of thing. So I go to Target all the time, and there's always Mind Seize decks just available for free for purchase off the shelves. And so I did not go because my kid is has stuff coming out both ends, and and he woke up super early. We had to actually re-record this because my kid started screaming in the middle of it. It's awesome. And and then in the 8-mans, actually, I've been doing Stompy, and my Stompy list that I'm playing is not your most recent resilient Stompy list that you're seeing with the safe hold elites and whatever. No, I'm just going all in on the Garrick's Companions and Wild Mongrel plan, just super
the
aggressive.
Classic.
Yeah, a classic. The Stompy that you saw a lot with when Fissure was still a thing. And it's it just catches people off guard. Nobody's expecting the turn 3 or turn 4 kills anymore. And nope, I'm just gonna punish that right now.
I think that's pretty actually successful in 8-man's that approach.
Yeah, and I mean the deck has a lot of play too, so you're not gonna just if you make it to turn 6, 7, 8, you can still win. Because Stompy has that ability, but if you catch like your Tron players like Bobby here, if he's still busy trying to set up his mana on his first play of the game as a Mull Drifter, he's dead.
Yeah. Gotta hope for that Singleton Flame Slash.
Yeah. Get over the Flame Slash and the Firebolt, the proper mana, and then you have to have your turn 3 Tron with a Fanged Marauder and an egg you can crack right away, or else you're just dead. So yeah, Stompy, super aggressive Stompy lists are really catching people off guard in 8-mans, and I've been punishing that. It's been a lot of fun. Alright.
Cool.
So that brings us to the 8-man decks of the week. What do you guys want to talk about with these? I know I posted a few of them. David, do you have anything in particular you wanted to look at?
Well, I didn't post any of these, but I will talk about the Mono Black Devotion one.
All right, let's.
Yeah, I played against that one a couple times this week.
Yeah, I did too. The first time I played against this list, and I'll actually tell you what the event is. The event number is 6670829, and the player is Katya. And so it's 3 Barrenmoor, 2 Polluted Mire, 19 Swamps, and then 4 Chittering Rats, 4 Great Merchants of Asphodel, 4 Phyrexian Ragers, 2 Ravenous Rats, and the spells are 2 Corrupt, 2 Deadweight, a Disfigure, 3 Guess Verdict, 4 Ostracize, 2 Pestilence, 4 Sign in Blood, 1 Tendrils of Corruption, 3 Victim of Night, and then the sideboard is a Disfigure, 4 Duress, another Guess Verdict, 4 Icequake, 2 Tendrils of Corruption, and 3 Wrenchmind. And so I guess the thing that I like about this list is I think Pestilence is actually a pretty fun card. I was pretty impressed with it because I ran into this list actually in the tournament I played against Bobby and for the first time against this, I think Michael Bond or something was the name of the player, and I couldn't beat the Pestilence when it first resolved, and it really put a kink in my plans. I was able to. I think I timed him out because he played really slowly, but I was pretty impressed with it. This list normally when I play against Mono Black, and my deck is different than a lot of people, but my matchup is really solely around Grey Merchants. If I can keep enough pips off the table to survive a train of Grey Merchants, I win. If I can't, I lose. And but Pestilence gave him another way to get around that, and in a way that was better than Crypt Rats, because Crypt Rats I can just circle protection. It's easy, not a big deal. But Pestilence, he can do 1 or 2 every turn, and I don't have the mana to keep up with that. Yeah. So it was pretty good. I think this Mono Black list is pretty solid, although it has started the most absurd design mistake I've ever seen in Mono Black. Still have no idea for this, and if someone else has a rationale for this, go ahead and tell me, and I'll consider it. But for some reason, people are copying this list, and it has 3 Barrenmoors and 2 Polluted Mires, which doesn't make any sense to me because all your lands are black. There's no colorless mana in this, and so why would you not want 4 Barrenmoors? It's the choice to do it this way basically just says I'd rather pay an extra mana cycle here.
That is a ridiculous, ridiculous decision.
And it's an artifact of people copying lists, so it's really strange.
Yes, net decking taken to the next level.
It's just so easy to right-click, save this deck, and load it.
Yeah.
Wish list. It's just the simplest thing.
Yeah, and I see it all the time when someone makes some choice, and it's that's really weird. And then the next week, I see the same choice everywhere. And this one, I just is not obviously this is I mean, this could lose you games, but it probably won't more often than not. But it's still just like, this is just stupidity, as far as I'm concerned. Just not thinking. But anyways, that's my list. Go up to 4 Baron Moors if you're going to play it, but I do like the list otherwise.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why this deck wouldn't play the Weebilette? Is it just because it wants creatures on the table for Pestilence?
No, it's because Oubliette is bad.
I guess, but it's broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think there's any real reason to play. I think Oubliette is just a bad card, right? And the only reason that people are playing it is to up the devotion count and because it's broken. There's no punishment for playing Oubliette, but you're still looking at a 3-mana sorcery speed removal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to having one in here myself, especially because he's, like, his creature packages is pretty, like, uninspiring. Like, he has 4 Chittering Rats and 4 Ragers and 2 Ravenous Rats as his main way to increase his pips. Like, that's just 14 creatures, so
yeah,
I wouldn't mind having an Oubliette, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I gave it my shot. I'm embarrassing my French ancestry.
Now, what I really like about this list, though, is that it's sort of like attempting to port over your standard mono black devotion list because the ostracizes, you got 4 ostracizes, which are sort of taking the place of Thoughtseize. And I haven't seen this before in many of any lists. Really, is the 4 ostracize in the main deck, but he's clearly trying to take advantage of, Pauper being a creature-based format, and here you've got these ostracizes.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's a cool thing too.
They got me pretty much every time they worked against me.
Yeah, and they're pretty much always going to work. And if you can strip that Delver player of his ninja, then you're much more likely to survive if you can back up the ninja. And you take away the hexproof guys. The hexproof deck's guy, and they can't enchant anything up, and you're like, okay, well, now I have more time to draw into Geth's Verdicts. This deck is really nice. I do like the ostracizes. I'm a big advocate of don't play Corrupt, but maybe this is the deck that wants Corrupt. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, when I played against it, it wasn't this version. It was something similar. The Grey Merchants did put a lot of pressure on me to get my life up. If I didn't have the Marauder, then I was going to be in a tough spot.
Yeah. All right. So that covers this guy's deck. Let's go over the Boros Tokens list.
Yeah, this deck is crazy.
I love this deck. It's like so the Boros Tokens list, where did it go? It's right there, I think. Yep. So the list here is you have 4 Boros Guild Gates, 9 Mountains, 8 Plains. This is your land base. Your creatures are only 4 Doomed Travelers and 4 Goblin Bushwhackers, but your other spells, you have 31 other spells. 4 Captain's Calls, which are Dragon Fodders, Gather the Townfolks, Krenko's Command, and Raise the Alarm are your token generators, and then you've got your utility spells of Guardian's Pledge, Mob Justice, Raid Bombardment, and Smite. Can't really say that I approve of the Smites. I'm not sure why they're there. I think those are better off Lightning Bolts, personally. And then in your sideboard, you have a bunch of one-ofs. Beacon Apparition, Celestial Flare, Fortify, Pay No Heed, Rootborn Defenses, Rune of Protection green and red, Sylvok Life Staff. Then you have Sen's Enlistment, which I think should be main deck. Spare from Evil, and Sundering Growth are your sideboard cards. So what do you guys think of this?
Hold on, I might be looking at the long list. You guys talk. I gotta find it.
Okay, it's 4th place on the list that I linked.
So it might be too cute. I think the Captain Skulls are going to be hard to cast on 21 lands myself. Obviously, I'm never a fan of 2-color aggro, and that's sort of what this is, but it may be better off. I think the thing I like the least about the deck, actually, is Guardian's Pledge. Because all the creatures aren't white, so it doesn't pump them all, and there is a better option out there for a deck like this, and that's what was it called? Righteous something. It actually was reprinted as an uncommon in
Righteous Charge?
Yeah, Righteous Charge.
Righteous Charge. Yeah, it was reprinted as an uncommon, but it's actually originally printed as a common. And so the trade-off is its sorcery speed. So that's, obviously a disadvantage, but at least it can pump your Dragon Fodder and your Frankos command tokens in addition to your other creatures. So I guess I would play that.
Yeah.
I think, just sorcery is the only drawback, right?
Yeah, and I think that trade-off is fine for this deck.
Yeah, because you're looking for an overrun effect anyway, right? And you're going to cast it pretty much on your attacks and maybe counter it. Or if they're going to counter it, they're going to counter it whether or not you cast it instant speed or sorcery speed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a fair trade-off.
I think this deck also wants, in the sideboard, something like... what would that be? Something that just gives like +2 or plus maybe like Fortify, or something that gives +0/+1, some way to beat Electrickery. Not that Electrickery is like a huge factor in the format, but I mean, Electrickery is like a wrath that's gonna screw you a lot.
Yeah, they do have a few like anti-Electrickery cards in the sideboard. They have 1 Fortify, Pay No Heed, Rootborn Defenses, and
Yeah, I think I'd like more Fortify over the Rootborn Defenses. I actually like Fortify, and the thing is, I keep looking at lists to prepare for this podcast, and Electrickery blows out so many of these decks.
Yeah, but this deck is nice because you can't deal with all the threats, right? If he starts putting a ton of tokens on and one Guardian's Pledge or Righteous Charge in this sort of effect, it takes out huge chunks of your life. Like even if you're playing Tron, you have a Fangren Marauder out, you're like, all right, I'm kind of good, I can just crack a few eggs. But then if he's got 6 tokens on the board, he can smack you for 18 right there, and that's pretty considerable. Especially if you combine it with earlier threats that he might be putting on you, like a Doom Traveler and whatnot. And then he's also got like the big chunk of Mob Justice or Raid Bombardment that he can smack you with as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this deck is worth exploring. There's a lot of different ways you could take it, but I wouldn't say I think it's like very good in the current state.
No. I had actually been looking at the deck list above it. I didn't even realize that you said Boros with the Akroan Crusader deck and the Kiln Fiend with all the instants. So I had been preparing for the wrong deck, and I hated the Lightning Talons in that list above it.
Well, we can talk about the one above it too. That's actually...
Is that a normal deck? I haven't seen it before.
No, it's not at all. It's
looked goofy.
I've seen it a few times, and when Akroan Crusader came out, this is something I tried to work on. Pretty much very similar list, and JPH Snake also was working on something similar once too. So I think that this is a deck that is sort of up and coming, and I don't know if it's going to ever get anywhere, but Brute Force is a lot like a Lightning Bolt, and it also pumps a Akroan Crusader or Kiln Fiend, so it's...
Yeah, sweet. I hated the Lightning Talons, and I just don't know why that's better than Rubble Belt Maka, I guess. Just couldn't figure that out.
The Rubble Belt Maka doesn't target, so it doesn't activate a Akroan Crusader.
Oh, is that how that works?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good enough reason to run Lightning Bolt.
I still think it's another Lightning Bolt.
Yeah. I think that's what it effectively is, but it's like, I think it's more acting like Incinerate does. And that, and it also makes your guys like incredibly difficult to block. Lightning Talons. It gives your guys first strike, and not a whole lot of creatures in Pauper have first strike. So if you slap this on a Kiln Fiend, then you can attack with impunity into Spire Golems and whatnot.
One of the cards I was working with, and I think it's kind of interesting that isn't here, is again, I'm not going to remember the name per usual, but it's a mountain and a colorless for a card from Lorwyn that gives up to 2 creatures +2/+0 and Changeling, and the spell itself is a Changeling. So it's kind of like half a Dauntless Onslaught, but that seems to be like a pretty good way to get through some damage here, and I might prefer to play that over Lightning Talons, because you can double target Necron Crusaders if they're both out. You can pump a Kiln Fiend and a Necron Crusader, things like that. So, yeah,
I think that the moral of the story is Lightning Talons is probably not that great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. I would do a Gatherer search, but I'm just way too distracted. I get really easily distracted, Mike.
I'll see if I can't find the name of that card.
Yeah, I did a little searching, but I didn't. I probably just should have gone on Gatherer.
Yeah. So
it is Blades of Velis Vel.
Blades of Velis Vel? What?
Yeah.
Blades of Velis Vel. What the heck is this? Yeah, 1 in red for a changeling tribal instant shapeshifter. Up to 2 target creatures is gain +2/+0 and gain all creature types during the turn. Alright.
This is why I don't try and even brew a Pauper deck, because this is just, there's so many ridiculous cards that you need to know.
Yeah. This is pretty sweet. It's Heroic Enabler before Heroic was a thing.
Yeah.
Nice. Alright, we'll have to keep that one in mind. That's a pretty nice card. Probably better than your Lightning Talons, too. I would assume.
Yeah. There's probably a few things that's better than in here. Over Thunderstrike, too, I think. But it's not worth getting into nitpicky details, especially when we have third deck to talk about, or fourth deck.
Yeah, the other deck we're going to talk about is Slivers. Now, Mike, you hadn't seen this a whole lot because you've been playing Pauper a bit, but...
Yeah, I was just going through lists, and I was like, Slivers, what? That was about it. It's just 10 forests, 10 plains, 2 Selesnya Guild Gates, and then all the Slivers: Muscle-Plated Predatory Sentinel, Sidewinder, Sinew, Talon, Sliver, Virulent Sliver, Travel Preparations, and Journey to Nowhere as spells. One thing about it, the sideboard just looks so bad.
And it is.
1 Celestial Flare, 1 Circle Protection Green, 1 Fog, 1 Fortify, 4 Gleeful Sabotage, 2 Hive Storings, 1 Pay No Heed, 2 Rootborns, and 2 Rune of Protection Red. It just looks so bad. If you're bringing in Rune of Protection Red, why would you ever want to cycle it? Why is it better than Circle Protection? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this deck, I have no idea why.
There's no reason. There is no reason. I understand the Circle Protection Red or Room Protection, but Circle Protection is just like almost strictly better here than Rune of Protection, because you may not have the white. That's one thing the Sliver decks tend to struggle with too, is like getting the right mana.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you're stuck with white mana against your Kiln Fiend deck, because I assume that's what you're going to bring in this Circle of Protection for, Kiln Fiend to burn, then you don't want to have to. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it just seems like if you disrupt the right guy, the whole deck's going to fall apart, unless you get a bunch of muscle and predatory slivers and somehow are able to cast a million of them in the first
they will.
4 turns.
They always have it.
They will.
They've just got it.
Yes.
But, I think it's good you brought this deck up, because I don't really know what you feel, Chris, about Slivers Delver player, but Mimex was saying that he can't beat Delver, on Twitter. Not Delver, can't beat Slivers, and with his Delver deck, and I know I can't beat them, and so maybe they're just kind of an underplayed deck right now. And the problem is Operator Error.
It's like Bobby said, they tend to fall apart if you take out the right ones. So I take out the Lords, and Spellstutter, they have to play into Spellstutter with the Slivers deck. It's almost impossible if they can play around it. And especially if you look at this deck in particular, all their stuff costs 2 or less, so I can pretty much always Spellstutter their guy. So you play the heavy tempo game against them. You counter the Lords and the second virulent Slivers and stuff, and you're fine. I don't think it's like a favorable or an unfavorable matchup. I think it's roughly even, but they don't have a lot of the same tricks that Stompy does. So if I snap their guy, they're not going to be able to Vines of Vastwood it typically. And I think the Slivers deck actually probably should play Vines of Vastwood.
Yeah, there's got to be better cards than what this list specific. This came in third at an 8-man. It's probably not optimal. It's just it took me by surprise, and especially it didn't look that good. So I wonder if there was a way to make it good. maybe I'll get ambitious and try it out, especially if my buddy Mim is losing to it. I love taking him out.
Yeah, I actually beat him in the last daily event too. It was pretty sweet. It was the first time I've ever beat him in constructed play. He always just crushes me.
Yeah, he used to own me, but I've got him the last 2 or 3 times. I like to remind him anytime we play.
Yeah, I don't ever lose to him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's at this point, I do think that the shuffler is rigged to let me beat him, because I think I've played him 4 or 5 times in competitive play throughout like the last year, and never lost to him.
Yeah.
So I'll take what I can get, but I can't beat you, Chris. So I mean, there you go. Like it's.
Yeah. Well, I play excludes. I'm an asshole. So.
But going back to this deck, it's missing something I'm really surprised about. It's not playing the sliver that gives reach, and that to me is like one of the biggest reasons to play slivers is you want to have a critical mass of slivers that impact the board state in favorable ways for really the Delver matchup, and that is one of them that does that. And so I'm sort of surprised that they don't have that anywhere in here.
Yeah, they're that's interesting. Sidewinder Sliver's not played. It's also not playing any Hive Strings in the main deck, which is something I've seen a lot of.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. That's something I think you'd have to experience for yourself. But 22 lands is a lot.
Yeah, it is. Is Virulent Sliver very good to give everyone poisonous? If you don't have it, you've been working on their life total, and all of a sudden you have it, and you're dealing poison damage.
I don't know. I hate that guy. Like,
it's better than you think, and it doesn't actually enable turn 4 kills, I think, if you just have like the triple Virulent Sliver draw.
Yeah, because it stacks.
Yeah.
The poison stacks. So like,
poisonous does not infect. It actually stacks with each time your slivers hit your opponent. So
if you have like 3 virulent slivers, each of them is hitting for 3 poisonous.
Yep.
So it's like okay. It's better. Yeah. Some people I've seen move away from it, but I think this deck needs a few 1-drop slivers, and the other 1-drop sliver option is the artifact one, and that guy's just horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. So slivers, that's the thing.
Yeah. So
it's real.
should I do the what's the play that we've decided?
Bring it.
Yeah. So I love the show So Many Insane Plays, and they are a vintage podcast, and we have stolen plenty from them in the past, and I will continue to steal from them, but I decided I'd give them credit this time. One of the things that makes the show so great is they do these scenarios, and I think we might do a whole show that's just scenarios one time, but I figured I'd sort of introduce the concept here and see if you guys can figure out the line I went with, even though I guess I told Chris already. But we can talk about the other lines too and get kind of more in depth on it. So this is, from my experience, lately I'm just playing this Azorius Kitty deck, and I know I'm the only person playing it right now, which is fine. And this situation came up the other day, actually against that mono black deck we were looking at earlier. And so I think I'm going to say it was turn 4, and I had just gotten Chittering Rats, and my board state was basically 2 plains and 2 islands. I had a Seagate Oracle out, and my hand was, I think, Mole Drifter, Piracy Charm, Dreamstalker, like an Azorius Chancery, and a Journey to Nowhere. And so I have 4 lands, and the question is, what is the play here? So what do you think, Mike?
Sorry, I was trying to write everything down. You have 4 lands.
Yeah.
Just give it to me one more time.
Sure. So there's 4 lands out there, 2 plains and 2 islands. There's a Seagate Oracle in play. My hand is Muldrifter, Journey to Nowhere, Azorius Chancery, Piracy Charm, and Dreamstalker. So yeah, what do you think?
Anything going on the opponent's side? Does he have a hand?
He's tapped out with a Chittering Rats in play, and I think like 5 cards in hand. Something like this. I mean, this is a ballpark, but the line I came up with was one I haven't really done before.
All right. I'm just looking up Dreamstalker real quick.
Sure, it's basically a 1/5 core Skyfisher.
Yeah. I think I definitely rammed the Dreamstalker, and I guess the only other decision is to use Journey or the Piracy Charm to do something. I guess you could attack with the Oracle and try and use the Piracy Charm. No, that doesn't seem good. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd ram the Dreamstalker. It doesn't seem it doesn't seem like anything's really going on in the game, so I wonder why this is a critical moment.
And so, what do you bounce? You bounce the Oracle.
Yeah, I think I would just bounce the Oracle. I think it's better than wasting the Muldrifter now. You know, until you can hardcast it.
Yeah, that seems pretty reasable. Chris, are you
I'm here.
So, what would you do?
Well, you already told me what I should do.
Yeah, but what would you do in this situation?
My initial reaction is to attack the Seagate Oracle, just see what happens. You know, he may not block you, may get a free point of damage in. If before I knew what the answer was, my answer was pretty much the same as Mike's here. It was just play out attack, play out the Seagate Oracle, or play out the Dreamstalker, bounce the Seagate Oracle, and consider journeying. It depends on whether or not I've seen Muldrifters, or not Muldrifters, whether I've seen Grey Merchants from him. And
yeah, you have in a previous game. Like, okay. You know that there's.
I probably just journey the Chittering Rats.
Okay, so I mean that line has a lot of merit too, because you can. The goal again is to get the pips off the table, and I believe this is game 2, so you have Circle Protection Black in your deck.
Yeah.
That you can dig to and put him in a position where he can only win by playing Gary.
Yeah.
So that line definitely has a lot of merit. I mean, I do like Mike's line of attack the Seagate Oracle, see if they block, and then you can Piracy Charm it if you want to. That might be worthwhile.
Although game 2, I think I take out Piracy Charm.
Yeah.
Sideboarding. So maybe it's not sideboarding. Maybe it's not sideboarded. I don't know. Regardless, let's say there's just one in your hand. Okay. So, I mean, that's basically what the situation was. And so I think the line I came up with was, so I attacked, and I don't believe he blocked. And so he took the point, and then then I played Journey to Nowhere, and I actually, because it's turn 4, I journeyed my own Oracle, and then played Dreamstalker and bounced the Journey to replay the Oracle and get my card that way. That way I save a mana effectively on the replay of the Oracle.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, so it seems like you could, bounce it if you didn't want to tell that information. Like, that is the downside, that they know that now, and if they are like, oh, I have a duress, I'll duress that out of here. But it seemed like drawing a card at that moment and not losing board presence was pretty optimal.
No, I think that's kind of like along the lines of what I was thinking. You just did it more optimally. You obviously know the deck real well, and we're able to save yourself a mana. But I do like the Dreamstalker getting an extra card. So yeah, that's a sweet little play you got there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of little lines like that in this deck. If someone wants to pick it up, you really gotta consider all your options at all times, and I could talk about it forever. And I enjoy playing it because it's challenging. I mean, I don't really think the deck is like the best deck ever. I mean, I definitely think it's pretty customizable and good for the current meta, but I enjoy playing it the most, which is the main reason why I do, because of little stuff like that.
Yeah,
it sounds sweet.
You're a diehard control player too, so you have that going for you.
I love combo control, and it's kind of like the closest thing to that right now, I'd say.
Yeah. I still think you should try the blue-red Delver deck. I think that.
I don't like the fact that that deck just loses the Circle Protection Blue, but
you could toss a Rolling Thunder or two in there.
Does anyone play it?
I did see a list that was like more my optimal build of that, and it did have Rolling Thunder in there. Should have saved that list to talk about it.
Yeah, I don't think Circle of Protection Blue is actually a thing. Like, some people play it, but it's just such a minimal impact card in every other matchup, really.
Well, the rate, I'm not like concerned that I'll just like be playing and someone's like, Circle Protection Blue, like right now. But the concern I have is that I will pick the blue-red deck up and it'll get popular, and then people actually start playing that card and just win that way. I mean, because that's basically how I beat them, right? I don't have Circle Protection Blue, but I just nullify. I don't actually.
You kill all their threats.
Yeah, I just let them kill themselves, pretty much.
Yeah.
And Circle Protection Blue is like a single card that kills all their threats. And I prefer not to play decks that just lose to a specific card.
Does anyone play Circle Protection Blue? Has it ever been cast?
I've had it played against me when I'm playing Delver, and I laugh at them because I have Spire Golems. And, if I'm beating down with 30 fairies in the air, they don't have enough mana to make Circle of Protection Blue work. Nobody except for Tron has enough mana to make Circle of Protection Blue work against the Delver Swarm. And if Tron resolves the Circle of Protection Blue, I'm kind of ashamed of myself for letting it happen.
For letting it, yeah. Well, maybe I'll give it a shot. Maybe I'll throw it in there. There's just like a million cards I want to sideboard, and you run out of room for all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's an okay card. I mean, Deluxe was talking about it, I think actually kind of after he and I were discussing this. It's also like all right against the Cyclops deck. I mean, it takes out Cyclops and it takes out Delver, so all they can win with is Fiend. Obviously, I'd rather have Circle Protection Red there, but ultimately it'll be a meta call, because I do think the blue-red control deck is quite good and quite underplayed.
Yeah, I think it's really good too. I want to take some time, give it a shot, and try it out.
It is the best Delver hate deck. I can't beat it. There's just no way I can beat it, and it's made me really consider bringing Stormbound Geist back in, putting Stormbound Geist back in the sideboard as a way to hopefully, 2-for-1 their 2-for-1 removal, and maybe hope their accumulated knowledge is just don't draw them anything, or their compulsive researches are just whiffs. But as it stands right now, I don't think I can actually really beat the deck. It's a very, very, very good hate deck, and it's a worse matchup, I think, than any other matchup that I have.
I imagine it kills mono black too.
I think the mono black deck is gonna be. That's kind of interesting. I don't know about that.
I think if you can get off any amount of, I think if you can get ahead of it at all, like draw any cards, then you're not going to lose to the mono black deck.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, mono black could win the way I win, right?
Decking them.
Yeah.
Just wait it out. Yeah, I don't know. I think the deck is strong. I think it does a lot of things, and it's a Delver deck itself. So.
Yeah, I think the deck that it really loses to is going to be your Swarm decks. I think the Stompy deck is going to run over this blue-red deck, because Stompy ran over Is It Post when Is It Post was still a thing. And this is just a worse version of Is It Post.
Yeah, I think that Tron beats it too. I mean, I
can imagine Tron should be it.
I got rolled by it when I played it. I mean, I didn't know everything that was coming. I hadn't seen it, but I couldn't resolve a single, not one card. I couldn't resolve anything.
That's interesting, because they don't really play that many counter spells.
Yeah, they've got 8 here. I'm looking at the ZZZ's list.
Yeah,
and he's got 4 counter spells and 4 excludes. Which
and I don't really consider that like that's why I actually think the just let them deck themselves is a great plan, because all you have to do if you were just on the let them kill themselves plan, all you have to do is just firebolt their Delvers and their Mole Drifters, and then they have 4 counter spells to stop you from doing that. Seems favorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could have just got unlucky, but I played against the guy, the Canna, who won the premier event last weekend.
Yeah,
his version.
I say he was the one who crushed me in the top 8 last weekend with his deck. I was like, ah, man.
Yeah.
I think that was. I can't remember what that was at. Round. Was that first round of the top 8 pairing? No. It was the second round of the top 8 pairing.
Yeah, you played him in the semifinals.
Yeah. I was like, man, I wish I would have played Affinity now, and I hate playing Affinity.
Yeah, Affinity's the worst. Yeah, I know. I don't remember if I won game 1 or not. Maybe I did, but I know I got Earth Rifted and Stone Rained like crazy post board.
I think historically, Tron beats like the mono blue control deck.
Yep.
And this is basically the mono blue control deck.
Yeah, with some innovation. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe their best plan is to just... I've actually seen a sideboard that was pretty much straight Tron hate out of one of these decks, and maybe that's the way they can beat you. I don't know.
Yeah, so the Kana's sideboard here was, looking at his list, his sideboard is 2 Earth Rifts and 4 Stone Rains.
Yeah. I mean, he maybe you know what? That if he's doing that, then the matchup must be bad for him. Because he's playing
6 sideboard slots.
Essentially 6, and then he flashed back Earth Rift a couple times because the game goes that long when I can't do anything.
Yeah, it does. I've played a little bit of Azorius Kitty this week too, and it's really fun against Tron. There's a lot of that's actually like one of my favorite matchups is playing as Azorius Kitty against a Tron player, because with Azorius you're trying to spreading seas the right, Urza's piece. And then Reality Acid the other pieces. That way then you can keep them off the Tron as long as possible. So I've had games where my opponent had like 17 lands on board with no Tron.
Yeah. Yeah, I try and sandbag certain lands. I'll even play a mountain over some Tron lands if I'm expecting stuff like that. But Spreading Seas is a hell of a card.
Yeah, I love that matchup. Not even I don't even know if it's good or not. I haven't gotten to play it all that much. I was a little bummed I actually had to leave when we were going to play because I just have so much fun playing that matchup.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's like you get to disrupt their abusive engine, but it's not like you're abusing it or you're disrupting it in an unfun way, right? You're not counterspelling everything they try. You're letting them have some lands, but you're only letting them have an island instead of their typical Tron piece.
Right, which even allows Tron to kind of dig out of it. So it does have some good back and forth, because maybe it's easier now for me to cast like a Muldrifter or a Seagate Oracle. Yeah. Because colored mana is the main problem. I'll keep more sketchy hands with Prismatic Omen than I will with, an Explorer's Map or something like that.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Prismatic Omen almost every time.
Prismatic Omen, what's that? That's at the...
Prophetic Prism, you mean?
Prophetic Prism, yeah. Prophetic Prism.
Prismatic Omen's the...
Prismatic Omen is not that card. It is a different card.
You're playing too much Modern?
It's Shapeshift, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, I have more knowledge. Like I said, I'm pretty new to Pauper, but the card names, they're too close. Yeah. When you have 20,000 Magic cards, they all sound the same sometimes.
All right.
Yeah, I agree. So, what's your challenge of the week, Bobby?
Well, I was trying to think of something to bring to the table, and I was like, you know what? You guys play a lot of Pauper. Let me find some cards for you to jam in your decks that are, maybe a little bit of downgrade, maybe a little bit of a lateral pass here, and just see if you can find places in your lists to put them in, and B, can you win with them? So I looked at your Azorius Kitty list. I looked at. I know Delver, and I know Stompy pretty well. So I guess you tell me what deck you're willing to play, and you're willing to let me make you play something that I want you to.
All right. Well, I'm going to test the waters here. I'm just going to go with Delver's what I always play, so I'll play that.
All right. I'm going to give you. Well, let me hear from David. What are you going to choose? Because I might give you different cards based on what.
Well, I don't know how many you have, but I actually have kind of a response to this. I will take whatever card you give me and try to build a deck around it.
Oh shoot! I would have.
And if you can't do that this week, do it next week, and I'll just play Azorius Kitty this week.
No, I might have one. Well, the first one. Let me just look up this. So the first one, if you're going to do Delver, I want to give you... I think I just want to give you Disrupt. I think you should play Disrupt.
Oh,
it's
that
a
card's
1 mana
sick. I love that
counter
card.
instant or sorcery spell, unless its controller plays 1, draw a card.
Okay, I have to play
It's
this in
not
the
bad.
main
It's
deck.
still yeah, main deck, man. You can't just sideboard these in. You
Alright.
can sideboard them out. you have to play with it though. And so my other idea, and I think I'll just give this to Azorius Kitty because it's similar to a card that you have. But I mean, I know you're trying to bounce everything in your Kitty deck, but I think this card will give you a little more aggression. Way to race is, and I mentioned it when Chris was off dealing with his kid, but I really like Drifter Ildal, and if you want to build a deck based around that card, go for it. Or if you want to jam it in Azorius Kitty.
The 2/1 shadow guy?
2/1 shadow for 1, but you got to lock down an island for the rest of the game.
Yeah, okay. I remember that guy. I think about him on occasion. I'm down. There's
Alright, well.
There's a card that does the same. There's like a. Ooh, I have a great idea for a theme here. We're gonna go.
All right.
Yeah, there's a Drake that does the same thing.
Spindrift Drake.
Yeah.
Back when Tempest drafts were firing, I drafted a deck with like 5 Spindrift Drakes. It was insane.
Yeah, there you go. Same thing. Well, then there you got a deck locked down blue, lock down yourself.
Yeah, I drafted mono blue and Tempest. It didn't end up well.
Yeah, if you want to use the Spindrift Drake instead, although I think Shadow's probably a little bit better.
Oh no! I prefer the Drifter.
Yeah, the Drifter's sweet. His picture's sweet. The guy who drew it is Justin Sweet, so I guess that's fitting. All right, there you go. I'll keep making lists that way. If you want to switch up decks different weeks, I'll have the different challenges for you. I had some good green ones in case you pick Stompy, but I'm gonna hold off.
All right.
My other thought for blue was Clairvoyance, but I think Disrupt is just a cooler card.
Yeah,
Clairvoyance
I
kinda
think
does
I can
that.
probably.
Clairvoyance is like the bad peak.
Yeah, it's the bad peak.
Oh my god!
It's like you gotta play a terrible peak. But no, I like Drifter and I like Disrupt, and there you go. That's the BobbySapphire challenge of the week. Try and win with those bad boys.
All right, I will try and win with a 4 of Disrupt in my main deck.
Oh, it has to be 4 of?
Oh yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean if you're
It's a-
4
I mean,
of.
I'm gonna.
I could
put
see
4 in
with
here,
Disrupt
that's
maybe
why.
going 3, but it draws you a card. Just deal with it. You can start disrupting your own stuff if you need to cycle it.
Yeah.
Dude, Disrupt's sweet. You get a cool one. I might just put Disrupt in my Drifter Ildal deck to like double down.
Oh, the double points.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you would get all the kudos. But yeah, I don't think Disrupt is bad. I can't think of too many cards that don't play an instant or a sorcery. Obviously, you have to have it at the right time. But most of these decks are playing these cards all the time.
Yeah, I think I could get some opposing Delver Mirrors, just disrupt their preordain on turn 1.
Yeah, they won't see
Shit
it
sounds
coming.
sick.
Yeah.
Wow, that's all the value. Yeah, you might start a trend, Chris.
That would be
Imagine
insane.
that. All right.
All right, so Mike, how can we get in contact with you?
Twitter's a pretty easy way. I'm just at BobbySapphire. It's Sapphire's 2 P's for the people who can't spell. Otherwise, Moto too, BobbySapphire. Those would be the best.
Yeah, you got this. You can tell it's Mike because he's got the sweet Twitter picture of him being like, I don't know, cosplaying Cyclops or something.
That was for Halloween, but I'd long dreamed of being Cyclops for Halloween, and one day I did it. I did the spandex head to toe. I carved that foam piece. That's a piece of foam I carved and spray painted with the red cellophane over the eyes. It hides my face. I'm a teacher, so I don't want kids being able to see the crap I do. So at least gives me some anonymity, but I do love me some X-Men, and I love me some Cyclops.
So what if one of your kids plays Pauper and then he hears this podcast and he's like,
Yeah, I mean, that's
"Whoa."
going deep. Most of my kids don't know Magic, but some have found. I came in second at a 5K once, and there's a YouTube interview of me talking to Darwin Castle, who's a buddy of mine from the area, and so we're like laughing and joking around. And one year my kids found it, and they were sharing it with the school of me talking to them in this foreign language of Magic cards, and they think it's really weird, but I don't know. They YOLO, right?
Something like
As the
that.
kids say. As the kids say.
That's right.
As the kids say, YOLO.
YOLO.
David, how about you?
You can find me on Twitter. I'm at Shaffelwaffle5. I do the Thoughtcast series at MTGO Strat. Try to put out articles every Wednesday. And I've been streaming a bit. So you can find me on Twitch. So it's twitch.tv/Shaffelwaffle5. I bring low quality viewing because my computer's terrible. So you have to have a pretty good understanding of Pauper to know what I'm playing. But because you won't be able to read the cards.
You cannot read the cards at all.
But yeah, so that's me. How about you, Chris? How do we find you?
I'm on Twitter at cweaver8518, and I'm on MTGO at cweaver. So that about wraps it up, guys. Enjoy your premiere event. It's going to fire off in 45 minutes, hopefully. And
are we all getting in that with our Drifter Ildal decks? What's going on?
I think I'm not going to play the Disrupt deck this time around.
I can't play today, unfortunately, but I would love to.
Yeah, and also it's going to depend on whether this little dude here stops being sick and crying and stuff. So, well, either way, the premiere event will fire in 45 minutes, hopefully, and we'll have a Pauper day ahead of us.
Yeah, good luck, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks, man.
Thanks for listening.